Hello, hello, everybody. Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so let me invite on stage Jan, Richard. We should be getting ready. Maybe we will wait a few more minutes to be sure that everybody could make it. So welcome. It's a real pleasure to have you today for our first English-speaking Scaleway Open Hour. We did one last month that was in French, but this is our first in English. So it's really important for us that you enjoy what we'll be presenting you, and that you ask every question that you may have. This is really what this event is about. You've got on the right panel of the Livestorm platform the chat, and you've got a question, a question side where you will be able to ask any question. You will be able to upvote questions from other people. So just to explain you a bit what the open hour are about, in a pre-COVID-19 world, we did meetups, and during those meetups we got two big parts. The first one was the presentation. It was kind of academic with slides and demos. It was interesting, but that's something that we're still doing with traditional webinars. But we are missing now the second part, which was more casual, and it was when you were able to ask any questions to the presenters, to the people that were with you. Usually it was more with a beer and a slice of pizza, and now it will be with a cup of coffee or tea. But we hope that that it will be as interesting for you as it could be before. Okay. Hi, Thorsten.
Hello.
So it's an honor to have you today. So our theme will be migrating to Scaleway. I guess you are a lot with us today that are maybe evaluating different providers, seeing what advantages we can have, but also what we may be missing, and whole point is to have an open hour, open question, no bullshit, where you can ask everything that you've got in mind to the Scaleway team, but also to Thorsten. So maybe I will let you introduce yourself, because you are. It will be the best part of the event.
Yeah, okay. So thanks for inviting me. Yeah, my name is Thorsten Kramm. I'm from Germany. I'm the founder of CloudRadar, a Berlin-based tech company. CloudRadar is product and company name at the same time. About 1.5 years ago, we launched our monitoring solution called CloudRadar.io. This is basically a IT infrastructure monitoring as a service. And also we have two new products. We have rpod.io. This is a remote management suite where you can manage all your remote systems. It's something like TeamViewer, but with a big advantage that is in 100% open source and free software. And we also have a service called freeping.io. This is a basic and completely free monitoring of servers, routers, and any device that's connected to a network.
Okay, cool. Just to let everybody getting the chance to ask questions and to jump in the conversation, maybe Jan, you've got.
Maybe we can introduce a bit of Scaleway.
Exactly.
Okay, so just briefly, so we're Scaleway, and thanks to everyone to join that open hour, and thanks Thorsten for this introduction. So we are Scaleway, the cloud that makes sense. We are a leading alternative European infrastructure and platform as a service provider. We provide companies with the essential mix of cloud computing resources that's flexible, cost-effective, secure, and sustainable from an environmental standpoint. We also are the only triple-play cloud provider to offer private data center colocation, dedicated servers, and a modern and elastic public cloud ecosystem. And speaking of which, our ecosystem is designed to leverage market standards, so it is super simple for our clients. For example, we are F3 compatible. We have an up-to-date Kubernetes. We support Terraforms, etc. So very generic and compatible cloud that we provide to our clients. We currently serve more than 300,000 clients in over 160 countries in the world, globally, and our services are deployed via 6 data centers located in 3 regions. So 4 in Paris, in France, 1 in Amsterdam, Netherlands, and the last one in Warsaw, Poland. So that's who we are at Scaleway. And maybe, I mean, just moving on, maybe Thorsten, you could tell us a little bit about a little bit more about you and your story. How is your business model, just developing what you started earlier on?
Yeah, so I started as a consultant in IT infrastructure, and I was focused on projects mainly in the area of monitoring and automation. And I had big clients, smaller clients, all the range. And during on almost every project, the customer complained, why is monitoring and why is automation so complex? Why do we have to learn so many new things? And that was the birth of CloudRadar, because looking at all the concepts that the traditional monitoring solutions like Nagios, Zabbix, or Microsoft SCOM offer, they're really complex and customers don't need all the features. So they basically need just a small subset, but the rest is so complex, so they gave up. That was the birth of CloudRadar, and then I invented, or I started to program my own monitoring solution that is really simple and really fast in setup, because we have so many presets that work just from the beginning. The user interface is modern, user-friendly, intuitive, and our customers have confirmed it is really easy to set up and fully features. So at the moment we are monitoring more than 3,000 servers, and we are processing a lot of new data, but I will talk about this later. Yeah, that's basically the story of CloudRadar. Now we discovered, okay, customers, they need more than monitoring. They also want to configure their servers from the browser, and that's why we launched RPort a couple of weeks ago. That is an option to log into all your servers directly from the browser to execute commands to restart crashed services. It's not limited to the Linux world. That is why, for example, for many customers, Ansible is not an option because it's limited to Linux. We have full support for Linux and Windows as well. Yeah, and we see that many customers, they want to have a smooth introduction into the monitoring options. That's why we launched freeping.io. So people can freely test our services with a real free product. It is not a freemium or an upgrade option to the real product. No, freeping.io is a standalone product and it will be free forever.
Okay, cool. That's a nice perk to have.
Yeah.
And talking about your customers and what they find attractive, and who are there? Is there mainly European customers? What are they expecting from you at the guarantee, security, localization, everything?
Yeah, so basically the customer are divided into three big parts. 1/3 are from Northern America, US, Canada. Another third is from the European Union, including United Kingdom, and the rest is the rest of the world. So from any country, everywhere. So Europe is one of our biggest markets. And when we are talking about Europe, we are talking, or the expectation of European customers, doesn't matter if they are from France or from Germany or the Netherlands, they expect a high level of security and privacy. Yeah. So, and that's the reason why we selected Scaleway as a cloud provider. And that is also the reason why AWS, DigitalOcean, and all these companies never have been an option for us, because they have the headquarter registered in the United States. And then we have all this Patriot Act issues. So even if they promise that the data is located in a data center in Frankfurt, Paris, or wherever in Europe, they are still US American companies, and a US judge, for example, can force them to give access to any data they have access to, regardless where the data center is located. So for us, AWS, DigitalOcean is an absolute no-go.
And speaking of infrastructures, so how I'm sorry for the obvious question, but I think this is still very important to understand how IT infrastructure is important to your business.
Yeah, okay. So CloudRadar is a complex ecosystem. So we are processing, what I've looked at the numbers yesterday. At the moment, we are processing like 1,000 new measurements of all the connected clients per second. So this is something that requires a clustered infrastructure. We are not pure microservice based, but the complete service is divided into many services running on different machines using different services under the hood. So we need a whole infrastructure and not just a server. Yeah. And this is what we expect from a cloud provider, that we have a private network, that we have a load balancer, that machines, they come with a good basic configuration. For example, we are using everything on Ubuntu Linux. We can spawn new machines, integrate them into the network. So we need almost everything that a cloud provider offers. And we are very happy with Scaleway. So the service is good, the machines are performant, and our service is running flawlessly.
Cool. It's always nice to hear. As I will jump, because we've got Eric in the question tab that asks the huge question, which is, could you tell us why you changed to Scaleway? So the elephant in the room is that you were with Hetzner before, and you were satisfied and happy with the services and what they were providing you. But what did you find at Scaleway that maybe made you think that you did the right choice? So you were talking about a lot of other features and services that a full ecosystem can provide. So what could you tell us about that?
So when we started CloudRadar, the cloud options of Hetzner were at the beginning. So there they had just a limited feature set. For example, there are no, or at this moment when we selected Scaleway, they didn't have firewall options, for example. Yeah, private network. That was something you must build up on your own on Hetzner. And we don't want to spend time in setting up firewalls, in setting up VPNs and private networks and all this. So that's why Scaleway was a better option for us, because everything is there, and that saves a lot of time. And we can rely on this. If I set up a private network using something like Tink or whatever, then I have to maintain this. I've constantly look, oh, maybe I've made an error, maybe a port is still open and someone can log in through that backdoor and so on. I want to care about my business, and I don't want to spend time on setting up networks and all this. Yeah.
And is there anything you were concerned about moving to Scaleway in the first place? I mean, that's pretty related to the initial question, but any concern when you moved?
No, nothing, because we started using Scaleway. I don't know, I personally started using Scaleway before I created my company. So I'm a Scaleway user since 5 years or so on. I'm using Scaleway when you started with just ARM-based bare metal servers. So I always knew what Scaleway is offering. And I always followed your development and growth. So I was absolutely sure that Scaleway fulfills all our requirements.
Cool, perfect. Just to follow up, even for the network, we know that network is a really important side of what a cloud provider should use, and we are every day making further improvement. We've got a public gateway that is in beta, that is coming out in public beta in the next 2 weeks. So that's also something we are working on. Direct Connect. And speaking about ecosystem, so now you are mainly using bare metal servers at Scaleway, but you also got the chance to leverage one of our latest innovation, which was the M1, the Mac as a service instances. So could you tell us more, because it's something new, and I think it was
okay. So first, we are using virtual machines to run all the things that we can run under Linux. That is our productive system, databases, web server, queue processing, workers, and so on. But our software is divided into the server part. That is what we manage. And then the customer needs to install an agent on the monitored system that does all the measurement, like measuring CPU load and so on. And this agent also runs on Windows. And we have a 75% of our customers are using Windows. So we also need a large infrastructure of Windows servers for compiling the software and for testing the software. So we need from the oldest to the latest Windows, and we need several of virtual machines running Windows. So that we are using a dedicated server for this, and that runs perfectly. So for our part also, we support Mac operating system. And now with the latest update of Mac OS, software needs to be digitally signed. Otherwise, the Mac will reject starting it. And that was a brilliant idea of you, that you provide Mac minis with the latest Mac OS in the cloud. So previously, we had a bunch of Mac minis in our office for code signing, and we are happy if we can move something to the cloud because we don't have to care about the hardware, we don't have to care about power supply and so on and so on. And all the developers now have access to that machine, and they can test. Now we're able to, in the Mac Mini, we now have running several Mac OS. Now we installed virtualization, and that is very handy for us.
Cool. That's a great testimonial. So I'll jump on other side of the your infrastructure. So the question is about the multi-cloud. So I guess you, as CloudRadar, is obviously a multi-cloud approach. We at Scaleway also try to be the more open and multi-cloud as possible. So can you tell us more about the different providers you've got, how they interact with each other, your vision for the multi-cloud approach?
I wouldn't say that we have a real multi-cloud approach. We have a lot of customers in the US, and to avoid latency issues, we have some edge servers in the US, but they don't store data. They just take the data, queue it for a fraction of a minute, and then forward the data to the data center here in Paris. So, and we have some DigitalOcean and some AWS machines for that. And the interaction between the systems, this is done on application level, basically with REST requests. But we call our setup cloud independent. So we use SaltStack as an abstraction layer. All our infrastructure is defined using a SaltStack recipes. It's called SaltStack states. So if we want to migrate from Scaleway to whatever cloud, this can be done, in half an hour, I guess. So it depends on how recent our definitions in Salt are. But we don't set up everything manually, and we let an abstraction layer software do this, similar to Terraform, no? And I know Scaleway has a good support also for SaltStack. No, I can say, okay, Salt, please set up this cluster, and I can select Scaleway as a provider, and Salt does all the magic.
Yeah, that's the great thing about automation. It's great that from the beginning you have this architecture architecture trick.
Infrastructure as code, is it called? Yeah.
Sorry?
It's called infrastructure as code, no? Because everything is defined in text files, maintained in a Git repository, and then we can deploy also the infrastructure from this text-based definition. And we can deploy it almost anywhere, no?
Yeah, obviously. That could bring me to another question. A lot of companies are using AWS, for example, but they absolutely don't want to use managed services that can be with locked-in or proprietary, like Aurora or AWS Lambda or everything. Do you also want to avoid being too managed in your consumption, for example, for database or?
Definitely. So we do a lot of asynchronous processing because we don't want clients to wait, and we have a large setup of queues for different things. So SQS from AWS, it sounds very handy, but it was never an option for us to use SQS because then we cannot move away from that. So we are using Beanstalk, the queue processing from Facebook. This is open source, and it's yeah, okay, we must maintain the queue by ourselves, but that makes us independent from the cloud provider, because we can run beanstalk queuing everywhere. If we would have selected SQS, then we are bound to AWS, because only AWS has SQS.
Yeah, right. So choosing Scaleway was kind of perfect for you, because you did not have the temptation to use those perfectly handy products, and while being way less expensive than they could be, I guess.
I haven't looked at the prices of SQS. Running a virtual machine with the queue on a Scaleway also produces some costs. Yeah. But being independent from the cloud provider is more important than saving some money for us.
Yeah, right.
And the same with email, for example. We don't use a proprietary email service like a simple mail service on AWS.
Yeah, it's a real competitive advantages for you.
Yeah.
So you can go where you get the better value for money and with instances and compute power somehow.
Yeah, but as I explained at the beginning, for legal reasons, AWS haven't been an option for us at any time. No, so they can provide the most handy setup. We will never take it.
Cool.
And speaking of features, as well, if there were something in your ideal picture missing at Scaleway, what would it be? How could we improve from your standpoint?
Yeah, so sizing of the infrastructure is always important. The customer base grows. We have a lot more requests. We have a lot more data to process and so on. So we can scale by adding more virtual machines to the cluster, but that it takes some time. So easier for us would be to just put more resources into existing virtual machines. So if I say, okay, this machine is now at the limit, it has 8 CPU cores. I want to log in and say, okay, give this machine 16 cores and the double of RAM. This is a little bit cumbersome on Scaleway at the moment, because machines need to be powered down. The whole disk needs to be written to an archive, and then I can respawn the machine with more resources from the backup. So this process could be a little more faster now. But the rest is perfect.
Okay, noted.
Well, you don't have to say that. We know that.
Yeah, no.
No, I'm not paid for this. Yeah.
For the record.
So maybe I will just jump on this point to show you a link, and after maybe we will share your links, Thorsten, because I'm seeing a lot of questions about your tools and the free stuff that you are putting there. For example, the free ping tool, etc. So maybe it could be nice to share the links so everybody can then go and share. But first, I will just put this link here. It's the feature request link at Scaleway. So maybe it will join one of the latest questions. So we've got a question from Lionel, and he saw that it was a bit against AWS, and he was asking, apart of the fact that the headquarters of AWS is in the US, why would you be so against US cloud providers? He is asking, does it decreases the security of your infrastructure?
I don't think so. So we got a lot of emails from customers from Europe, and they say, are you compliant with this and that? So GDPR first. So then I have to explain, okay, no, we don't. Monitoring is not about personal data. GDPR is not really relevant for us, and so on. And then they ask, oh, where is the data stored? And then next question is, what is your complete chain of contractors, and so on. Then I can explain them everything in detail, and that takes me a lot of time. The shorter way is to say, okay, all the data is stored completely in the European Union, and we have only European Union contractors, and then the discussion is over.
Yeah, I guess it's
yeah. So if I say, yeah, we use AWS data, but the data is stored in a data center in Europe, then they will say, yeah, but, and so on. How do you protect my data against access of US officials that have an authorization based on the Patriot Act? And I can say, no, I can't do that. I can't protect you from that, because that's completely out of the European Union, and the US judge, they can order to give someone access to the data. So it's easier to select a European provider for us. So maybe others have a different opinion on that, but for us, it was a good and easy solution.
Okay, you're right. This is one of our key point. I was about to say key selling points, but that's not just a selling point. That's really part of the value of who we are. We are 100% European, and by this, we protect, we assure the privacy. Not only by this, but that's a key point, to protect the privacy of our clients.
Apart from this, performance is perfect. The price is absolutely in the usual ranges. So there are no reasons why I should select AWS or DigitalOcean.
I'm really glad to hear it, and I'm sure it's
global, act local.
Yeah. Once again, it's nothing against AWS or Microsoft Azure or anything, but if it's for you competitive advantages or a shortcut to avoid a lot of evangelization and a lot of questions and a lot of issues that your customers may have,
at the end, when customers ask about security and privacy, most of them, they don't really know what this topic is, but they want to feel secure. They want to get the feeling that the data is protected at best level. And if I say, yeah, your data is hosted by a pure European company, they feel more secure. And that is, for our customers, a good reason to select CloudRadar and not another competitor from the US or from wherever.
And that's a shorter process for you to explain as well. So that makes it simpler. Yeah, life simpler.
Okay, so I'm going to be back for a few minutes to CloudRadar, to everything that you were saying, because a lot of people caught a few links and tools that you are giving and providing. So maybe we can take the time to share the proper links and the proper name. So it's.
Would you have a question from pretty much the very beginning, Kevin, about Kubernetes that we may take in the meanwhile?
Yeah. Okay. So all right. So let's do a. Let's go back to Siva.
I don't want Siva to think that we don't want to take that very technical question. I can't, definitely not. But Kevin.
Obviously, we are not extremely technical person, because we forgot to introduce ourselves. But the question is really specific about Kubernetes. It's does Scaleway node types for Kubernetes have any IP address limit per nodes? The answer is yes. We've got one public IPv4 address per node. After, regarding the pods, it will depend on your CNI. But I won't be able to tell you a lot more about that. Maybe it's a question that you can ask directly to the Kubernetes team. We've got the chance to have a Slack, a community Slack here at Scaleway, where you can freely join. You can have the chance to talk to the VPs, the product manager, the DevOps. We are really trying to be as close as possible to our customers. That's also a difference that we're trying to leverage compared to AWS, because we were talking about them earlier. But we're always trying to stay as close as possible. So feel free to join the Scaleway if it's not already done. And you will be able to have a long chats with the people that are working every day on Kubernetes capsule. So that's it.
Siva, feel free to reach out to us. I will give you a call so we can set up a conversation off stage if you want to have more technical details as well, and discuss about how important this is for your business. I will be happy to give you a call.
Perfect, and I think that Thorsten, you've added the links, so that's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sure that a lot of people will be incredibly glad to try and see those features and services. So okay, it's been 40 minutes. We are close to an end. I don't want to miss any question, but I think we got it all. So
I think we have indeed. I'm just checking, but I think we have. Yeah, just a question from Emily to Thorsten to repeat once again the name of the remote control software that you have. Was it airport.io?
Rport, not yeah. rport.io. Yeah, it sounds similar to airport, but we don't have any flight connections.
It's close enough, but be careful.
No, it's an abbreviation for remote port, because rport basically handles reverse tunnels. So you install a tiny agent on any system that is located behind a firewall. It can be a laptop that changes official IP address every half an hour and so on. And the client always connects from the inside to the outside. And if you want to log in, you can say, okay, now create a reverse tunnel for me, giving me access to the SSH port or the remote desktop port or to any web server that is running to do some configuration. So you can configure all your switches, routers, and printers with the rport client.
Cool. That's as good as it can be. So I don't know, maybe if we will have a last round of conclusion to close this session, as we don't have any more questions. So maybe I'll just start by thanking you for being here. We will be posting this video on YouTube in the few next days, so anybody will be able to watch it, and maybe if they have more questions, they can ping us on Twitter, on the Scaleway community Slack, as mentioned. It was really interesting. We tried to be as fair and transparent that we can be, and honest at least. We hope that if any of you watching this open hour was wondering if they should try and test Scaleway, I hope that it gave a few answers to appease their fears. Maybe Jan, if you got something to add before we let Thorsten conclude.
Yeah. First of all, thank you all for joining, and thanks Thorsten for making that clear testimonial and that so positive testimonial.
It was a pleasure.
With the heart. I'd like to also just on a follow up. There will be another webinar taking place on the 22nd of April. That webinar will be in French for that one, and so the topic will be the sovereignty of the cloud and how important this is in our businesses. And we'll try to have on a weekly or monthly basis many different events to come, such as this open hour that takes place every first Wednesday each month. We will have also more technical conversations that we call tech talk, if I'm right, Kevin, and this will be on a periodic basis. Like pretty much every week, there will be on a Wednesday or Thursday there will be events like this. So feel free to join. We'll try to do it like in this format, like 30, 45 minutes, very short during lunchtime. So that's very straight. Anyway, we can't go to restaurants, so why not listening to nice topics that we can propose, and that's it. So thanks everyone, and Thorsten, the end, the last word for the conclusion.
Yeah. So thanks for inviting me. I can recommend a Scaleway, CloudRadar also. Give it a try, both. Yeah, and have a nice afternoon.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you. See you soon. And we hope to have you next month for a new open hour. And feel free to give us any feedback, that something that missed or that you need, and we will be there to improve this new rendezvous. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Cheers.